Every reason the World Cup became football's biggest stage explained in 10 minutes. Every 4 years, something extraordinary happens. Cities fall silent. Schools pause lessons. Offices quietly empty. Millions gather around televisions, phones, and giant public screens. For 1 month, the entire planet seems to breathe in unison. The FIFA World Cup isn't just another sporting event. It is the closest thing humanity has to a truly global celebration. More than 5 billion people follow the tournament in some form, making it one of the most watched events on Earth. But here's the fascinating question. Why this tournament? Football leagues exist every year. The UEFA Champions League showcases incredible quality. Domestic leagues feature the world's biggest stars every single weekend. Yet none of them come close to matching the emotional power of the World Cup. Why? The answer isn't just about football. It's about history, identity, psychology, politics, culture, and the simple human desire to belong to something bigger than ourselves. This is every reason the World Cup became football's biggest stage. To understand the World Cup's power, we have to travel back to the early 20th century. Long before television existed, football was already spreading rapidly across Europe and South America. Sailors, workers, merchants, and students carried the game wherever they traveled. It required little equipment, was easy to understand, and could be played almost anywhere. Within decades, football transformed from a local pastime into an international obsession. The Olympic Games hosted football competitions, but there was one major problem. Professional players were often excluded. That meant the world's best footballers weren't always competing against one another. The sport needed its own global championship. In 1904, FIFA was founded to organize international football. But creating a worldwide tournament wasn't easy. Travel was expensive. Crossing oceans took weeks. Many countries couldn't afford the journey. Still, one man believed the dream was possible. French administrator Jules Rimet envisioned a tournament where nations, not clubs, would compete for global glory. His idea sounded almost impossible. Yet in 1930, Uruguay hosted the very first FIFA World Cup. Only 13 teams participated. Several European nations declined because traveling across the Atlantic by ship required weeks away from home. Compared to today's massive event, it seemed tiny. But something remarkable had begun. Unlike club football, where players represented employers or cities, the World Cup asked athletes to represent an entire nation. Suddenly, every goal meant something far greater than league points. It became a matter of national pride. That emotional difference changed everything. Fans weren't simply cheering for talented footballers. They were cheering for their country's flag, anthem, language, and identity. Even people who rarely watched football suddenly cared deeply. The World Cup wasn't selling matches. It was selling belonging. Then history unexpectedly amplified its importance. The Second World War forced the cancellation of the 1942 and 1946 tournaments. When the competition finally returned in 1950, it symbolized something much bigger than sport. It represented hope. Countries devastated by war could once again gather peacefully on the same field. Nations that had once fought each other now competed under agreed rules with referees instead of soldiers. Football became a universal language. You didn't need to speak Portuguese, German, Japanese, Spanish, or Arabic to understand a brilliant goal. Joy looked the same in every language. So did heartbreak. This emotional universality became one of the World Cup's greatest strengths. Then came television. In the early years, very few people could actually witness the tournament. Newspapers described the matches. Radio commentators painted pictures using only their voices. But television transformed everything. For the first time, families could watch unforgettable moments unfold together. Children watched heroes perform impossible feats. Parents passed stories to the next generation. Entire countries experienced victories and defeats simultaneously. The World Cup stopped being just an event. It became shared memory. Think about legendary moments that people still remember decades later. A stunning bicycle kick. An impossible save. An underdog defeating a giant. A dramatic penalty shootout. These aren't simply football highlights. They become cultural memories that entire generations can instantly recognize. That kind of emotional inheritance is incredibly rare. Another reason the World Cup became so powerful is scarcity. Unlike domestic leagues played every season, the World Cup arrives only once every 4 years. That changes everything. Players have limited opportunities. Some legends appear in only one tournament. Others wait 4 years for another chance, only to suffer injury before it begins. Fans understand this. Every match feels precious because another opportunity may not come for years. Scarcity creates value. The Olympics benefit from the same phenomenon. When something cannot happen every year, every appearance becomes an event. That's why a single World Cup goal can define an entire career. A league title is remarkable. A Champions League trophy is historic. But scoring the winning goal in a World Cup final guarantees sporting immortality. Players know it. Fans know it. History remembers it. And that's only the beginning. Because the World Cup would eventually become far more than a football tournament. It would become a stage where politics, culture, economics, media, and unforgettable human stories collided, creating the biggest sporting spectacle the world has ever known. The business, legacy and future of the World Cup. The World Cup may be built on football, but today it is far more than a sporting tournament. It is one of the largest cultural, economic, and media events on the planet. For 1 month, the host nation becomes the center of the sporting world. Millions of visitors arrive from every continent. Hotels fill months in advance. Airports become crowded with fans wearing dozens of different national colors. Restaurants stay open late into the night. Local businesses experience enormous demand. The tournament doesn't just bring football. It brings global attention. For the host country, that's an opportunity that extends far beyond the final whistle. Modern stadiums are built. Transport systems are upgraded. Airports are expanded. Cities receive infrastructure investments that might otherwise take decades to complete. Of course, these projects are not without debate. Some stadiums have struggled to find long-term use after the tournament. Large public spending has sparked criticism in several host nations. Supporters argue the World Cup leaves lasting economic and infrastructure benefits. Critics question whether the costs always justify the returns. The truth is that the impact varies from country to country. There is no single answer. But regardless of the debate, one fact remains. No other football tournament attracts the same level of worldwide attention. That attention fuels another powerful force, business. Global brands compete fiercely for the chance to be associated with the World Cup. Advertising campaigns begin months before kickoff. Limited edition products fill store shelves. Companies launch commercials designed to become as memorable as the matches themselves. Broadcasters pay enormous sums for television rights because they know billions of viewers will tune in. For advertisers, there are very few opportunities to reach such a massive global audience all at once. The World Cup has become one of the most valuable media properties in the world. But even with all the money involved, the tournament's greatest asset isn't financial. It's emotional. Think about what happens after every World Cup. Children head outside wearing the shirt of their favorite player. Friends try to recreate spectacular goals they watched the night before. Young goalkeepers dive across dusty fields pretending they're making the save that won the final. Entire generations begin playing football because of what they witnessed during one unforgettable summer. That inspiration cannot be measured in dollars. It's one of the reasons football continues to grow in countries where it was once a minor sport. Every tournament creates new fans. Every tournament creates new dreams. The World Cup has also become a powerful symbol of globalization. More than 200 nations attempt to qualify. Only a select group earns the right to compete. That journey alone can last years. For smaller football nations, simply reaching the finals can feel like winning a championship. It puts their flag on the world's biggest sporting stage. It gives their players a chance to compete against the very best. And sometimes, it changes the future of football in that country forever. One successful tournament can inspire investment in youth academies, coaching, and facilities for years afterward. The impact extends far beyond 90 minutes. Technology has also transformed the tournament. Fans no longer rely solely on television broadcasts. Today, matches are streamed around the world. Highlights appear online within moments. Supporters follow statistics in real time. Slow-motion replays reveal every detail of controversial decisions. Even refereeing has evolved with technologies designed to improve accuracy. Some fans welcome these changes. Others believe they remove part of football's spontaneity. Either way, the World Cup continues to adapt without losing its essential identity. Looking ahead, the tournament is entering a new era. More teams are participating than ever before, giving additional nations the opportunity to compete on football's biggest stage. Supporters from regions that once rarely qualified now have greater chances to see their countries represented. That expansion brings excitement, but also questions. Will a larger tournament create more unforgettable stories? Or will it reduce the intensity that made qualification so special? Only time will answer that. Yet one thing seems certain. The World Cup's appeal has never depended solely on the number of teams, the size of the stadiums, or the value of television contracts. Its true power comes from emotion, hope, pressure, belonging. For 1 month, every nation begins with the same dream: to stand on the field during the final, to hear the referee blow the whistle, To lift the most famous trophy in football. Most will fall short. Some will suffer heartbreaking defeats. Others will create memories that last forever. And one nation will leave as world champion. That's why billions continue to watch. Not because they know what will happen, but because nobody does. The World Cup reminds us that sport can unite people who speak different languages, live on different continents, and come from completely different cultures. For 90 minutes, the only thing that matters is the game. Every pass carries hope. Every save brings relief. Every goal sends emotions racing through homes, cafes, stadiums, and city squares across the globe. Few events have that power. Fewer still have sustained it for nearly a century. That is why the FIFA World Cup isn't simply football's biggest tournament. It has become one of humanity's greatest shared experiences. And every 4 years, the world gathers once again, not just to watch football, but to witness history being written one match at a time. Global icons, underdogs, and why billions can't look away. If history built the foundation of the World Cup, the players built its mythology. Every generation has athletes who dominate club football. They win league titles, score hundreds of goals, and collect trophies year after year. But there is one achievement almost every football legend still dreams about: winning the World Cup. Why? Because club football is temporary. Players change clubs. Managers come and go. Owners buy and sell teams. Rivalries evolve. A national team is different. For most players, representing their country is the highest honor in football. It isn't about a contract. It isn't about weekly wages. It isn't about transfer fees. For a few weeks every 4 years, the world's biggest stars stop being teammates and become rivals. Players who normally combine for spectacular goals suddenly stand on opposite sides of the pitch. That creates matchups fans almost never see. Imagine a defender who trains beside a superstar all season suddenly trying to stop that same player from winning a World Cup for his country. Those moments carry an intensity that club football simply cannot replicate. Then there are the legends. Some tournaments become forever linked with a single player. One unforgettable performance can transform an athlete into a global icon. Children copy the celebrations. Fans wear their number. Future generations grow up hearing stories about what happened on that magical summer. The World Cup doesn't just crown champions. It creates legends. But legends alone don't explain the tournament's appeal. Another reason billions watch is uncertainty. Unlike long domestic seasons, the World Cup is brutally unforgiving. One poor performance can end years of preparation. One mistake. One red card. One missed penalty. One unexpected injury. Everything can disappear in 90 minutes. That's why the tournament constantly produces shocks. Smaller nations defeat giants. Tournament favorites crash out early. Unknown players suddenly become household names. The World Cup rewards courage as much as reputation. Every fan secretly believes their country could write the next fairy tale. And sometimes, it actually happens. Those underdog stories are among the tournament's greatest strengths. In club football, the richest teams usually dominate because they can afford the best players. Money matters. But at the World Cup, every nation begins with the same objective: survive the group stage, then win knockout matches. There are no second chances. The format creates pressure unlike almost any other competition. Every pass feels heavier. Every missed opportunity feels larger. Every goal can change the course of history. That pressure creates unforgettable drama. Even people who don't normally watch football become captivated because they understand exactly what's at stake. Win, and your nation celebrates. Lose, and the dream ends. Few sporting events communicate such clear emotional stakes. Then there is national identity. For many countries, football represents far more than sport. It reflects history, culture, pride, sometimes even resilience. When players walk onto the pitch carrying their nation's flag, they represent millions of people watching back home. Families gather together. Restaurants overflow with supporters. Entire cities decorate streets in national colors. The tournament becomes a celebration of identity. People who disagree on politics, religion, or social issues often find themselves cheering side by side for the same team. For a brief moment, football creates unity. That emotional connection cannot be manufactured. It has been built over generations. The World Cup also thrives because it creates unforgettable images. A goalkeeper making one impossible save. A captain lifting the trophy into the night sky. Fans crying with happiness. Children celebrating in streets. An entire nation erupting after a last-minute winner. These images travel across the world within seconds. Long after the final whistle, they remain part of football history. Another reason the tournament dominates global attention is timing. Unlike domestic football, which stretches across many months, the World Cup delivers nearly all of its biggest moments within a single month. Every day offers another high-stakes match. Every evening produces new headlines. The tournament becomes impossible to ignore. Conversations happen everywhere. Schools, workplaces, restaurants, airports, social media. Even people who rarely follow football suddenly have an opinion. Who will win? Who should start? Who has disappointed? Which goal was the best? For 1 month, football becomes the world's common conversation. Modern technology has only strengthened that effect. Decades ago, fans relied on newspapers or evening television. Today, every goal reaches millions of phones within seconds. Highlights spread instantly. Celebrations become memes. Interviews go viral. Controversial decisions dominate online discussions. A spectacular strike made in one stadium is replayed millions of times before the next match even kicks off. The World Cup has become both a sporting event and a global digital phenomenon. Every edition also introduces a new generation of fans. Children watching their first tournament often remember it forever. Ask almost any football supporter what made them fall in love with the sport, and many can point to a specific World Cup. A dramatic final. A favorite player. An unforgettable goal. Those memories become lifelong attachments. That's how the tournament continues to grow across generations. But perhaps the greatest reason the World Cup became football's biggest stage is that it tells stories no scriptwriter could invent. Heroes emerge from nowhere. Champions stumble unexpectedly. Dreams are fulfilled. Dreams are shattered. And sometimes, one single match changes how an entire nation sees itself.